After which you'll entertain questions and then vote the report, and then the other departments will follow as listed. Pastor Chuma.
Good afternoon. Now we continue with possibility ministries. Possibility ministries now. Ministries is this one. By the end of 2025, at least by the end of 2025, at least 50% of churches have effective possibility ministries. So far, churches that are running possibility ministries programs are 192 out of 486. I think you notice it's almost 40%. But even those ones that are running possibility ministries, they are just merely observing special days for these people in churches. Like if you find them, say, at a given Sabbath, it's a possibility ministries day, they run services, afternoon lessons for them. So a ministry to people with disability must go beyond satisfying their spiritual needs. These people regard themselves as objects of charity. What normally happens is that if you meet their needs, you feed them, give them clothing, they get baptized in your church. And when other churches come and meet their special needs, they go there for baptism. They move around churches. So what is necessary in this ministry is that we also economically empower these people. That's where there is great. When you are discipling people with disabilities, if you don't economically empower them, they will move from one religious organization to another. But if they are economically empowered, even when the temptation of going for another organization comes, because they are able to earn a living, they are working to earn a living, they remain in the church. So there can be no spiritual independence if these people are not economically independent. So I would commend what there is this church at Njube. They have a center of influence where where they offer courses to these people. Just look at the courses that they offer: baking, bead work, child care, elderly care, hairdressing. You can see them in that list. All those, you will notice that the first lot of people that they were empowering, the people who were registered to do these courses were 193. Out of 193, 155 were considered to be able-bodied. Only 38 did start those courses and graduated. So I believe that these people need to be what? Economically empowered. We don't just spiritually empower them, but we also economically empower them. And then we also ran, you noticed that we also ran camp meetings. That was in 2023 and 2024. Camp meetings were held at Maranatha. Of course, this year, 2025, it was never held. The South Zimbabwe Conference held theirs. You can see the figures of people who managed to camp there. In 2023, 537. In 2024, 750. And then in South Zimbabwe Conference had one camp at Maranatha where 310 managed to camp. So it's one area that we need to take note of, the ministry to people with disabilities. I think you noticed that I said only 192 churches are running programs for these people, yet the other churches are not. Some of the effects have been captured by the report, and you have that hard copy. Okay. All right. Let me just mention this one in passing: sidewalk evangelism. This year we were running with sidewalk evangelism. The emphasis of sidewalk evangelism seems to be personal evangelism. It seeks to increase membership involvement in witnessing. And one thing that we noted is that this year people who were involved in sidewalk evangelism are 9,022 out of 96,799. These 96,999 are people who are physically present in our churches. I hope you noticed that according to the statistics given by Pastor Nkanyez, our membership is at 139,000, around there. But those that can be counted on Sabbath, who are physically there, they average around 96,799, around the 90,000 there. So when you are calculating the percentage there, we came up with 11%. That means only 11% of our people are involved in personal evangelism. So there is need to work hard to increase membership involvement. So what we wish to encourage is that let's not only record the number of baptisms, let's also record the number of people that are involved in personal witnessing, personal evangelism. If people are not involved in evangelism, their characters don't grow, because evangelism is another spiritual discipline that, just like prayer, Bible study. So I think I can go as far as that. And then to close the back door in our evangelism, underside of evangelism, we managed to distribute 2,777 Ndebele Bibles and 7,822 English Bibles. I mean, these are nurturing kits. So each nurturing kit had a Bible and a booklet for stewardship, and also a manual for Bible doctrines. So we have a total of 10,598 nurturing kits that were issued to the newly baptized. It is the responsibility of local church leaders to make sure that these people who were given Bibles read those Bibles and those Bible manuals. Much of the work must be done at local church level. So I wish to thank the constituency. This is what we did during the 3 years. It has been an exciting time. So should I move? I move that we accept this report as a correct report of what transpired during the three years.
It's moved. Any seconder? Thank you very much. Please note your comments and your questions. Just write down. When they are done, you can always refer. Personal ministries, I've got this question. This department, I've got this question. So, seconded, maybe we just second, we vote them once, eh? All right, thank you. Let's have the next presenter, Pastor Mpofu.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I'm here to present the Stewardship Ministries report for the past 3 years. That's our preamble there, that when the term stewardship is mentioned, money often comes to mind. While money is part of stewardship, stewardship itself is not about money. Stewardship is a transformational journey that begins with an encounter with God. The idea of putting God first and making a lifestyle, and making that lifestyle results from this. We are pleased to see that during this triennium, more people started participating in stewardship and in giving, despite the harsh economic conditions and the high unemployment rate in our region. That is our mission. I think we have it there. I want to belabor you there. Goal number 1, to have achieved at least 50% member faithfulness by 2025. And those are the activities that we did there. We have them there in the book. I want to belabor you to go over them again. So we have achieved 45% as our faithfulness, and this one is our record for tithe in kind. By saying people should give what they have, that one is the record for the tithe in kind: cattle, goats, chicken, and grain. That's that. And then again, tithe in kind, we're still doing that one. So I've said that one, we are at 45%, and we started in 2022 is our base where we started. with a membership of 42,585. When we started, the faithfulness was at 34%. So we're saying where did we start? We cannot say there was nothing. We cannot say we started at zero. No, we started somewhere. We started somewhere. In 2023, that is where we were, 32.3%. 2025, 38.8, 2024, sorry. And then 2025, now we are at 45%. So that was goal number one. Goal number two, the materials that we produced, some of them have already been highlighted, so I won't belabor you to go over them again. They have been highlighted. These are all part of the materials that we produced as a department. And then we had a goal again to encourage the completion of churches under construction. And when we began the triennium, we had 299 churches that were under construction. And to date, 74 are at slab level, 10 are at window level, 75 at roof level. The number of churches that have been completed, awaiting dedication, there are 46. Number of churches dedicated so far, 94. This 94 means the churches that have been dedicated in the union, all of them, since la dedicated kudala. That is I'm just trying to explain that 94. As we dedicate them, then we count. Dedicate them, we count. So the number of churches that have been dedicated in our union so far is 94. So we move on. From there, I go to the ASI. ASI, the Adventist Service and Laymen Industries. That is what we did, 2024. We had the elective Congress, where we elected the leadership of the ASI. And then in April, we established the Pipe Bridge chapter, 24 to 26 May. Those that were given some loans were given what is called a wealth boot camp, where they were being trained how to manage their business and how to use the money. Those that have been given the money, those 30 members were given the money, they brought it back. 27 have brought the money back. And then we had a total of 122 members. And then the SZC chapter was organized on the 24th of August, 2024. The WZC chapter, 5 October, 2024. And we managed to construct a classroom block at Country Park during the Pentecost 2024 efforts from the 15th to the 22nd of September, 2024 during that week. And then the perimeter fence has been put around the schoolyard, and the community no longer goes through the school. The perimeter fence is there, is protecting our building, still intact. And we are hoping that by God's grace we'll go through. As of this month, 12,500 bricks have been delivered to site to start the second block. We are waiting for the rains to stop so that we start building. It's difficult to build while the rains are there. What are the challenges that we faced? Low participation in devotional life. You'll see maybe the family life department will report on this one. Very few people are participating. Devotional life are saying family prayers and everything, individual prayers. Very few people are participating in this. And this is where our biggest challenge is. Our biggest challenge in stewardship is not money. Our biggest challenge is not the economy. Our biggest challenge is spirituality. And spirituality cannot grow without devotional life. So most of the people, most of the families don't pray together. And that's a big challenge. And maybe that is also what is affecting us in even participation when it comes to pastoral ministries. Because if I'm not reading the Bible and everything, there's nothing to inspire me to be involved. And then slow uptake for the systematic benevolence concept. This one, well, we are glad that most people are now coming up. You read the book, Testimonies for the Church, volume 9, page 248. You read the book, Counsels of Stewardship, page 100. It says, it is a very poor policy for men to think, to try and improve God's method. Systematic Benevolence, chapter 1, volume 1 of Testimonies for the Church, page 545. It tell you that systematic benevolence was started by God, who does not err. And so when we try to improve it, it says it's a very poor policy. So poor policies are making us not to progress. One of the challenges, inaccurate in record keeping. Some of the places, the record keeping is not so accurate. And then other people taking stewardship as an event instead of a lifestyle. And then lack of trust by membership on the church system. The way forward, we pray that as we move on, we encourage people to have devotional life. More emphasis on devotional life. We emphasize stewardship as a lifestyle and regular reporting to the membership by the churches. Some churches don't report. Accountability and transparency. Let's be very accountable. Let's be very transparent. It's very important that we do this one. One of the things that makes stewardship not to grow is lack of trust. If people don't trust the system, they stop giving. Visitations to continue to be done even when there are no special emphasis weeks. At the end, we would like to appreciate the support, the cooperation, the advice we got from the officers, support from the fellow departmental directors at the union, our fellow directors from the conferences, Pastor M. Dube, Pastor Ompofu, the personal assistants, our secretaries worked very, very hard to keep this department going. I always say this is their department, now work for them. I want to thank again the frontline pastors for the work that they are doing and all members of the church. Without them, we will not have reached where we are today. We pray that the good Lord will richly bless you as each and every one of us faithfully labors in his vineyard so that we may be saved. As I end, I want to say to you, if you are going to go to heaven, faithfulness is not an option. Faithfulness is a requirement. Go and read Matthew chapter 25. You'll say, you that have been faithful in little. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 2, it is required of stewards that they be found faithful. Revelation chapter 2 verse 10, be faithful unto death and you'll get a crown of life. May the good Lord help you. I move, Mr. Chair, that the report be accepted as read. Amen.
Thank you, Fundis. He has 14 more minutes to go. So the other one will benefit. The next one. It's moved. Any seconder? Thank you very much. Please, next. He left 14 minutes, but you have 20 Fundis. So we count from there. I don't know what Sicha will do. Sicha is looking at me. He knows what to do. Just keep your eyes there. Fundis, guys, you can come. Cela lesi xhumele lapha.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Let me start by using the borrowed minutes. Just to give some little background. that we all need at least to appreciate the report. If I don't even go to the report, you have it. But we need the background. In Zimbabwe, I don't know in other countries. In Zimbabwe, generally we have 2, if not 3 types of Adventist schools. Is somebody listening? We have 2, 3 types of Adventist schools. And these 3 types emerged after independence. We have what we call government-aided schools. I would be right to say 99% of our schools are government-aided, meaning that it's both the government and the church running the same school. Then we have literally 4 schools that I know of, or 4.5, that are private. Private meaning that these are schools that are run purely by the church. Let me explain what that means. You will remember that in 1980 in Zimbabwe, like in many African countries, the governments, after colonization, use education as the vehicle of pursuing their ideologies and bearing the previous ills of the previous government. In Zimbabwe, the government took over everything that was educational. Curriculum unit is done by the government. Employment, even the training of teachers done by government. Meaning, at independence, it was deemed education for all. Meaning that the government caused the tune in those schools. But sooner, in the 90s or so, for one reason or another, the government allowed independent players to have private schools. You know, there are individuals who are running private schools now. Back to Adventist schools, we have schools like Fairview, schools like Bass, that were established before independence. And they were in the eastern suburbs. Those were registered as private schools. Even today, their registration is thus. But on the western side, we have schools like Pelandaba, established before independence. It's a government-aided schools. When the government took over the education system, it actually made it a point that it caused the short. What am I trying to say? Fairview is a primary school that is allowed to charge fees. Are we together? All other primary schools that you know for churches are not allowed to charge fees. When we started establishing some schools, you remember we have schools that we established in Beit Bridge, schools we established in Victoria Falls, in schools in Lupane and the like. We made a mistake upon their establishment, not to be deliberate to approach the government and say we want to register them as private. When registration time came, we put our applications to them. When they came back, they were registered government-aided schools. Church-aided schools. In essence, what it means is everything that goes in those schools is determined by the government. Churches are allowed to exist. For what reason? I hope somebody could explain better. But the only reason I could explain for you is they normally exist to pray before children start class, then do everything as if there is no church. To pray at the end of the lesson and exist as if everything else has nothing to do with church. At least to run a 1 week, what do you call that? Kind of an effort sometime there. They allowed that. Otherwise, It must have been 1986 when the government literally removed the teaching of the Bible in church, in schools. You no longer can teach Bible, you can teach that other subject. Bangapho Mrs. Nyon. There is that subject that is written what? Farem. To say, think about all cultures and all churches, then have a curriculum where you mention all of them. But we have 57 schools where we can only teach and touch as we pass what Adventism is all about. What is it that is Adventism in such schools? Signposts. Teachers, the majority of teachers that we are now in our schools were trained after independence, when the curriculum was government crafted and everything. What is it that is Adventist in our schools? Is the teacher. Adventist in what call? In manner? Because he has a baptismal certificate. I hope somebody is following me. The rest you can go and read home. So literally speaking, what has happened is, because there is now an observable. I attended, or I had the privilege of hearing what happened the previous 3 sessions, 2 conferences at the union. We had a situation where each of those 3, the issue was our education institutions. What's happening there? Sure enough, what has been obtaining when Adventist education was clipped of its wings, only to remain with the name tags and teachers who are teachers by baptismal certificate, you know there is a lot that goes amiss. The first question is, what is it that makes our school different from the rest of the schools? There will be nothing, isn't it? Now then it comes that issue of saying, why then would somebody leave Bulawayo and bring a child to Solusi if they can get the same kind of education at St. Columbus or anywhere else? So as a result, I'm pointing at a point that says our schools somehow lost their niche. And the past 3 years, that's what we were trying to rediscover. Because we had come to a point where disability, maybe that will not be a good word called. We had come to a point where even the person who can't see clearly can see that there is some kind of apathy towards Adventist education. If you have read there, you have read already what I'm talking about. There is decline in the value of Adventist education. People are asking, what is Adventist about our schools? Definitely, they will be very leaky. Because we have our Adventist teachers teaching out in government schools. As long as somebody is an Adventist, they will pray before lessons begin, isn't it? And if in our schools it's only prayer that makes the difference, there is a lot amiss. So we started at some point realizing that enrollment in our schools is declining. So the education department, when we started the 3 years, we discovered that we needed to do something, and that something was to try and find out what is it that we have lost in our Adventist schools. Lost in the sense that, as you might have seen, there is a time when we visited Adventist schools outside Zimbabwe for benchmarking and discovered that definitely the world out there has remained pursuing education the way it ought to be. And something was amiss with us. And this is not something we can blame on our generation, by the way. It started long in the 1960s. There was a time when there arose a situation where there was a cancerous kind of an ideology that seemed to say there can't be a amiable relationship between Christian commitment and intellectualism. In the 1960s, church education met with a serious criticism of saying, you can't, in a classroom where you want to build Christians committed to Christianity, have people who pass academically. Let's separate the two. And that found again in the same years thereabout, we discovered that according to the ZWUC tidings of 1967, it was stated that the oldest heresy of mankind, originating from the devil himself in Eden, was the heresy that said faith and knowledge were incompatible. I will skip the rest of the other things. So that being the task, maybe I've left 1979. 1979, at the highest peak of the war, there was an agreement to close Lower Gwelo Teacher Training School. And the understanding was as soon as the war is over, we'll open it. It never opened. It's only 2 or 3 years ago when where a college was opened somewhere along Bulawayo Harare Road. Otherwise, since those years, all the teachers in our schools, me included, I was trained in the 80s. The curriculum we were trained to interpret and everything was the government kind of a curriculum. So in the process, we lost the approach to education of integrating faith and learning in a classroom. Teachers we have who are Adventists, but how to take the government curriculum and infuse the Bible into the government curriculum has remained a mystery for most of our teachers. In a nutshell, that's what we tried to do in the 3 years. After visiting Maxwell Academy in Kenya, the heads of schools that came from there, they came and the staff developed the rest of the teachers, heads of departments and all that. You saw it in our programs. And now, if I were to summarize, I would say almost 50 of our 57 schools, you get to any of those schools now, you will find that staff, the scheme plan, if you can quote Faran, you can quote the Bible. Any subject and every subject you are going to teach, quote the Bible as you quote any other sources of knowledge. Even in the teaching, even in the exercise, writing, and so forth, God is supposed to be seen in every teaching and learning experience. I think I would stop here. Should I? You will find that being the case, all our schools now, in everything that we do, the atmosphere, the teaching, the learning, the Bible is central to everything that we are doing. And we are glad we have started rediscovering God's place in our schools, Solus University included. If you look at the courses that they've introduced, if you look at the approach they are doing now to the university, you will find that we are rediscovering that kind of a niche that seemed to set us apart. When it comes to PAL, we have been trying to work for the past 3 years. We're working with our Adventists in public offices, the Josephs, the Daniels, trying to equip them as to how to influence those they work with outside there. In communication, one of the notable achievements, I would say, is the radio at Solusi that we have. Otherwise, the rest of the information and the rest of the outcomes, they are there in your reports. As you might have seen them, for now I'm working on trying to move the acceptance of the report. But meanwhile, I know you had read this. It would be befitting for me to move the acceptance of these reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Spanda. Reports are moved. Anyone to second? It is seconded. Thank you. We will follow the pattern that the president set up here. We will not immediately take submissions and observations. Then we will do that, at the end, like all has been done. At this point, our leaders are here. Allow me to give them the stage so that they can take us to another level. Welcome, leaders.
Good afternoon, church. Thank you for your prayers. We are ready to give the report from the organizing committee. The report comes in two parts. By God's grace, yesterday, our leaders, you attended to the third part of the report from the organizing committee, which is choosing the gratitude committee. It was voted, so we are only going to present you the nominating committee as well as the Constitution and Bylaws committee. The Constitution and Bylaws allows for our nominating committee to be between 9 and 50. And so that was taken in the organizing committee. We go to the maximum, 15. So we are presenting to you 15 names to constitute the nominating committee. That includes the president of the division or his designee, who is going to serve as the chairperson. And so, because the Constitution and Bylaws says that number must be balanced as neatly as possible between church workers and lay persons, the report we are presenting will feature church workers, including presidents of the two conferences, and then we will have also one institutional representative. Those are church workers, 7, and the other 7 is lay persons. And so, without taking any more time, I would like to call upon our secretary to come and read the recommendation. She will read the first time, and then when she completes reading the second time, then she is going to move the acceptance of the nominating committee composition. After that, then we come to the 5-member Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Good afternoon. Here is a list of the proposed nominating committee. The Pastor Harrington Akon, and we have the following names: Pastor Anindlo, Pastor Dube, Kumar Mvelo, Florence Breja, Lawrence Breja, Anderson Mkwananzi, Diana Ndlovu, Pastor Mazile, Chamshipe, Nomsu, Brian Ngube, Pastor Tumsan, Professor Mbulani, Pastor ZWUC Ndembele, and the Constitution Bylaws Committee, Tabisa Swanda, Umsangu. Oh, no, not it. Okay. So I'll read for the second time. The chair is Pastor Tondo Akokwe, and we have the following members: Pastor Bongani, Pastor Kumbuzo Zube, Kumalo Nobelo, Prince Brecha, Son Mkwananzi, Anna Ndlundu, Kazile, Chaona Napipe, Nomsa Ngube, Tandegile Ndlundu, Pastor Dumsani Ngumulo, Professor Kwakani, Pastor ZWUC, move to accept
Has been moved. Secondment. Thank you. Observations. There be no observations. What is the pleasure of the House? Called